So everyone's favorite Panikin hit me with a 90s tag, and as a hilarious prank on her Canadianness, I was planning to do the entire video in a really corny Canadian accent. Turns out the only thing I know how to say in a Canadian accent is a boot. My first draft of this video had me saying it 173 times. It was not going to be a good video. So the 90s! Naturally, I see the people who grew up in the 90s as like the detriment to society with their hip-hop music and technology. Yeah, that's right. I was born in the 80s. For a glorious 68 days. Okay, so let's see. What was your favorite commercial? By far, it was this ball-bearing based board game called Crossfire. It had this awesome song and the kids were so into it and there was lightning. But when I actually got the game, it sucked. Crossfire! What was your favorite candy? Also super easy. I was a Junior Mints kid and I still am. The plan was to now have a box of Junior Mints and I was gonna like gargle down like a huge handful of them. So I went all the way to the store to buy some and it was the only candy that was sold out. My exact action words in the script are scarf down Junior Mints. I had it all planned out. Did you collect something? What didn't I collect? As a young kid, I knew very early that I wanted more than one. Star Wars action figures, Pogs, pins, stamps, Hot Wheels, Pokemon cards. Literally right before I opened the first pack I ever got, the kid standing right next to me pulled a Charizard. That did not help my mentality that every time I got a new pack, I was that much closer to sheer joy. It also didn't help how much I annoyed my parents. Favorite book series? The Berenstain Bears. Our mom would read us 2 to 3 of these every night depending on how convincing we were. I can only imagine that we didn't have more than like a dozen of them, so I must have heard the same stories like 50 times. Favorite Beanie Baby? It's a boot time for this one. Maple the Canadian Bear. When I was a kid, my dad went on this wilderness expedition in the Quetico in Canada, and it gave me the impression that Canada was like awesome or something. So for some reason I really wanted the Canadian Bear and I think it was particularly rare, and I remember this was right around the time when eBay started getting really big, so my whole family was crowded around the computer and we were bidding on it and we won, and it was just one of those really cool random moments that I remember from my childhood. Favorite Disney Channel original movie? Yeah, I watched Nickelodeon. Favorite Disney movie though growing up was hands down the Goofy movie. Favorite video game was by far GoldenEye for the N64. We played it all the time, and to this day, that and Halo are the only 2 games that I will actually play multiplayer on. Favorite toy? This one took a lot of thought and I was actually kind of surprised at what I landed on, but it was actually probably my rollerblades. This was probably one of the most random things about my childhood, and that was that I got really into roller hockey for a brief period of time. And the weird thing about it was that I was really good at it relative to the other people I was playing with. But in Virginia, it was not exactly normal and there weren't hockey leagues or anything, so I could never really continue to pursue that. What would have happened if I had lived in Canada? Favorite board game? I'm not sure what my favorite board game was, and I'm pretty certain I still don't have a favorite board game. All I know is that it was not Crossfire. Damn marketing geniuses. Favorite TV show? This one was definitely a toss-up between Hey Arnold and Doug, which I'm relatively certain those 2 shows like developed and created by moral code. Whenever I think back to any of the episodes that I remember vividly from these 2 shows, it was always about making the right decision. And it is a good thing SpongeBob wasn't around any earlier. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC? This is embarrassing. There is a reason why I did this one last. My first 2 CDs. How was I supposed to know? Convinced this is why I'm not more into music. So that rounds off my 90s tag. Thank you to Panikin for tagging me to begin with, and for my question of the day, since Jonathan asked you a couple weeks ago when he made this video about your favorite things about the 90s, what is something you do now that you think you will soon be nostalgic about? For me, I have to imagine it is power watching shows. But leave that in the towel section down below, and Jay, that's all I've got for you today, man. I'll see you tomorrow.